Nick Compton and James Hildreth both worked hard for scores of 72 not out, as Somerset had the better of a rain-affected first day of their latest LV County Championship match with Warwickshire at Edgbaston. Both captains would have inserted after winning the toss. It was won by Baron Chopra, and he would have hoped for a whole host of wickets when play finally got underway at 1:30. As it turned out though, Warwickshire had to wait until the 11th over for their first breakthrough, Johan Myberg edging Keith Barker to Jitan Patel on 15 to end an opening stand of 27. Marcus Trescothick is right back in the groove at the moment. After a long lean spell, he's rediscovered his old form, as proven by this meaty pull shot that went for 6. Indeed, Durham captain Paul Collingwood could talk of little other than Trescothick after the Somerset skipper blasted 133 off 129 balls the other day to see his side comfortably home against the champions, a result which had put the Sidermen into second place in the LV County Championship at the start of this contest. Trescothick has scored 200s and a 50 in 3 of his last 4 championship innings, and he was soon heading for another half-century, the 160th time he's got at least that far in his remarkable career, one which has now seen him amass in excess of 21,500 first-class runs. He is, once again, the county's leading run-getter this season, and the way in which he planted Patel over his head for his second 6, Warwickshire must have been fearing the worst. His latest 50 was reached with his 6th 4 to go with those 2 maximums. Trescothick had required 94 balls for this one on a pitch which was slow but did offer assistance to the bowlers. People were suggesting at the start of this summer that the Somerset King was dead. Long live the King is what they may be saying now. It was a real surprise when he was out. The fit again Ricky Clark's decision to switch to around the wicket paid immediate dividends, as Trescothick played down the wrong line to lose his off stump after making 53 of the 84 runs on the board. He dominated a second wicket partnership with Compton, who took his time to bed in. Indeed, he'd been at the crease for 43 balls before he found his first boundary. He and Alvaro Peterson brought up the 100 for their team in the 36th over. But Peterson was out soon after that. On 12, he tried to force Patel over the top, but could only find Clark at mid-on, and he's a man who doesn't drop many. So Compton and Hildreth came together in the 38th over, and they were still both going strong at the end of the day, a day in which 21 overs were lost to the weather. Both were watchful at first, as they had to be against this very well-disciplined attack. The difference for Somerset this summer, it seems, is that they're showing a lot of fight, as these two proved. A normally attacking team, their players have read the situation of games really well this year, which is why they came into this match as the only unbeaten team in the top flight of the LV County Championship. Thanks to these two, that run is likely to continue beyond this game. Somerset will be very hopeful of amassing a big total on first innings, one which should make it very difficult for them to be beaten. In that sense, they have learned a bit from these opponents. There were 2 long sessions on this particular day, and during the second one, the run rate began to pick up, with Hildreth playing some great shots, including this pulled 6 off Chris Wright. Compton, England's forgotten man, or so it seems, worked really hard for his 50. It took him no less than 156 balls to achieve, from which he'd struck 7 fours. His defensive technique and his ability to pick the right ball to leave alone were also trademarks of this knock. Hildreth wasn't far behind him, nearing his own half-century with a second 6, this one coming off Patel. His 50 was reached off his 80th delivery. He struck 4 fours and those 2 6s. It was Hildreth's second half-century of the summer. Indeed, this was his best knock so far, while Compton has also got to this mark twice thus far, although his previous 50 was turned into an unbeaten 100. With the bowlers tiring, including Boyd Rankin, who was playing for the first time since his Test debut in Sydney, these 2 batsmen pushed on in the evening session with 62 runs coming off the final 14 overs of the day to put Somerset into a strong position once again. They've never won the championship, of course, but there are a few who believe that, given their start, they are real contenders this year. Unlike Warwickshire, England shouldn't upset their selection either. Warwickshire weren't helped, incidentally, with a calf strain here for their wicket-keeper Tim Ambrose. Compton was still there at the close, by which time these two had put on 132 for the fourth wicket in 37 overs. The former Middlesex man has been at the crease now for 4 hours for his 72, while Hildreth has the same score after spending 2¼ hours at the crease. Both will be hopeful of scoring hundreds on the second morning, which will begin with the visitors looking good on 237 for 3.